Good morning, Coldwell Banker Realty. My name is Aimee Lerner. I am the Field Marketing Director for the Central Region. I am not only honored, but humbled to be here today with this esteemed panel of agents and to be part of View from the Top. Just as a reminder, View from the Top happens every third Tuesday of the month. The next one being August 15th at 9:15 a.m. That is a plug for View from the Top. This exceptional series has been going on for over a year now. I hope you've all gotten some great value. And that leads me to the topic of the day, which is branding. Branding is such an important part of our business in real estate. How do you stick out? How do you differentiate yourself from everybody else that's out there, right? And so what I thought I would do is start with a true definition of what branding is. What is a brand? And in the true definition of what a brand is, it is the collective impact or lasting impression that is seen, heard, or experienced by customers that come in contact with a product or service. So when you think about that, what it boils down to is it's you, the agent. You are your brand. It is the service that you provide to your agents. The feeling that client takes away after reading your bio or seeing a video or looking at your logo or any kind of interaction with you that is your brand. Your brand can also be as specific as a palette of colors. And I know that our panelists will be talking a little bit about some of that today. But really, when it comes down to it, branding is all about consistency, and consistency. And I think that's what you'll hear from our panelists today as well. So with that, I would love to introduce our panelists. They come to you from all over the Central Region. I've had the absolute pleasure of getting to meet with each and every one of them prior to this call to get to know the ins and outs about them and their branding and their real estate, and they are really exceptional. So I am going to start from my top right, which is Tiffany Willis. Tiffany, good morning. Can you please give us a little bit about yourself?
Great morning, everyone. My name is Tiffany Willis, as she stated. I am a real estate broker in Illinois. I've been investing since I was 22 years old, so about 20 years, and I became a real estate broker probably maybe just under 3 years ago, and I made President's Club last year. I have come into the business understanding that a brand is important. Your reputation precedes you. I've acquired about 70 five-star Google reviews and truly value the relationship to be able to connect and help people move graciously through real estate.
And gracious you are. So thank you, Tiffany. Good morning. And I'm going to head up to Michigan. Alex Milshteyn, good morning. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. My name is Alex Milshteyn. I'm in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is about 35 minutes west of Detroit, home to the University of Michigan. So I've been in the business for 23 years. I started when I was 18 years old. I was a senior in high school. I have no family in the business because that's the first question that people ask is you must have parents or somebody that was in the business. I literally woke up one morning and said I was going to become a real estate agent. And 23 years later, here I am. So I'm excited to be a part of this panel. Thanks for having me.
Love it. Thank you. Center stage, I've got Miss Sue Johnson from Minnesota. Good morning, Sue.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for inviting me to be on this panel. So I'm Sue Johnson, and I serve in the Minnesota area, specifically the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul. And I have been in the business for 22 years and have pretty much loved every minute of it. I have an assistant, Jody Hogue. I've got to give her a shout out. She's just been an amazing assistant and a good friend and like family to me. I've had other agents working with me here and there. My daughter worked with me for some time. But it's just a great business. And couple things. I've been on, as much as realtors love it and hate it, I've been on HGTV House Hunters a couple times. I know that's our nemesis sometimes because everybody wants those perfect homes. I guess my greatest accomplishment is that I really started the business with nothing. I had, I did this, 22 years ago, and it started with nothing and really built the business from the ground up, and still enjoy it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sue. And bringing us home from Texas is Claudia de Silva. Good morning, Claudia.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. And thank you for saying that, Aimee, bringing us home. Indeed, I love bringing people home. My name is Claudia de Silva. I'm originally from Portugal. I moved here from the Netherlands. So when you start talking about starting a business from the ground up, I have a thing or two to share about that. I actually had no sphere of influence, no family, no friends. This is my third language. So it's very important to have a brand indeed, and to be present and forefront always in mind of people. So I focus on the Texas, Houston market, but I also sell homes in Portugal and Costa Rica. I am an international property specialist. And my biggest accomplishments, other than being number 8 agent in Houston for Coldwell Banker, I started my team, and we are also luxury branded agents. So I'm very excited about that.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. So let's get into the meat of our conversation today, what everybody is here and tuned in for, and that's all about branding. So now that we know a little bit about all of you exceptional agents, please tell me a little bit about your brand, and maybe how did you start it? So Claudia, I'm going to start with you. I know that, one of the things that really stood out to me was everybody kind of started branding you a certain way, and you kind of took that by the reins and really created your own unique brand that fit you better than what you thought everybody branded you as. So I'm going to start with you, if you wouldn't mind.
Not at all. Thank you for that opportunity. So I have not the easiest name to pronounce, maybe the first one, but not the second one. So when I used to go places, people would just be, oh, yeah, the red hair lady, the red hair realtor. Yeah, the lady, the realtor with the red hair. So that stick, I never thought of branding myself as the red hair realtor. Why would I do that? But it stuck with people. And it was always when in conversation, what did that really mean? It means that from the moment they see a post of mine or video, or they call me and they listen to my voicemail, I have so many voicemail messages that say, I love your voicemail message. I feel like I know you. I want to work with you. And so that's kind of like what my red hair represents, is warmth, is trust, is that I bring them home, like they feel like they are home already with me. I hold their hand. So that's kind of like how everything started, the red hair realtor. And it transitioned now, and we can get into further detail later on, into having an umbrella where others can grow just like me, having a team. And I'll tell you guys about it, why the Palm Leaf Realty, later.
Thank you. Alex, you want to give us, you've been in this business now for 23 years, right? So where did you get started? How did you start, branding yourself?
So my brand has transitioned over the years, but the one thing I'll say is how it all initially started is I hired a marketing company. I was about 4 years into the business, and I decided, I wanted to have some sort of a brand beyond my broker's brand. And so I hired a marketing company, and what they did, which was a great exercise, is they surveyed my clients over the past 4 years. And they found that there were 3 words that kept coming out of responses that they received from my clients, which were reliable, responsive, results. And that's the brand that we've carried on with. Above and beyond that, they helped me design a logo, which has pretty much been around for, going on close to 20 years now. So that's how my brand evolved. It's had very minor tweaks over the years. But the one important part that has changed is that, I think over the years, we all wanted to become companies. We all wanted to be teams. We all want to be known by our brand. Well, the reality is that we don't have the marketing budgets to really create a brand that's going to be recognizable by everybody in your market, or especially the world. But what is recognizable, what travels with you everywhere you go, is your face. And so I have branded myself down to Aimee this morning. I know we had a conversation about this recently, but this morning I'm at my coffee shop, one of the few that I go to, and I'm in line and somebody taps on my shoulder and says, "Are you Alex, the realtor?"
Mhm.
And they wouldn't have known me if they just saw a logo, but they knew me because my face is marketed all over the place, from my listings to print publications to print marketing, to online. So that's one of the ways that it changed. It's not just the logo. I would say the logo supports me, but I would say you yourself, you are your own brand. And that's something that we shouldn't hide behind. So I love Claudia's idea of your hair. That's sort of along the same exact lines where, you are the brand.
Awesome. Thank you. Tiffany, talk to us a little bit about being newer in the business and, tell us a little bit about your brand and how did you know when the right time to start that brand was?
Yeah, new in the business is the key word. Like when you're new in the business and you have big goals and your people around you are producing and you're trying to figure out which way to go or how to do, you have to kind of pull it in and be true to yourself, right? And so I view my brand as my reputation. How do I want to present myself? Professional, responsive, reliable. And similar to what Alex said, I leveraged the resources, available with Coldwell Bankers, specifically Design Concierge. They helped me bring my brand, my vision to life by my logo, the colors, what flowed, what matched everything, so that my social media, my Instagram, Facebook, my website, everything was integrated. And more importantly, I think it's about how customers feel when they're with me. They know I'm professional, they know I'm responsive, and I'm relentless. I get the job done. And that's something that's consistent. And I'm passionate about making sure that at the end of the day, there was a win-win situation to be had. And so my blue bird represents all those things: the strength, the graciousness, the consistency and the gratefulness. So
that's awesome. Thank you. And Sue, because I want to make sure everyone answers this question. I think it's really important because you all have very unique thoughts and brands. So Sue, tell us a little bit about yours. And what I especially loved about yours was the color that you chose when branding. So tell us a little bit about your brand.
So when I started as a realtor, I totally hung on the coattails of Coldwell Banker and the strength of that name. And I would highly recommend that for any new realtor. I'm really impressed with Tiffany, actually. She's right out of the chute and has her brand. But I really hung on the coattails of Coldwell Banker for a while until I really kind of figured out who I was. And I had I have a business coach, Mike Hoffman, got to give him a shout out. And I told him from the very beginning, I want to run a good company. I want to run a good company in every sense of the word: ethical, systems, processes, checklists, knowing my finances, knowing my numbers, marketing, customer service, of course, all serving our client. And so that good company, running a good company and keeping good company. So our referral partners, our friends, our clients, they're all drawn to this. So my daughter was working with me at the time, and she had a friend who worked for an ad agency in Chicago. And those two just pounded this out, and they would throw ideas around, and then they would present these ideas to me. I was too busy selling. I mean, I had to sell. I had to keep this machine going, while the branding process was evolving. And so what we came up with was Good Company Realty Group. And it means a lot to us. Now you can see the GC, the Good Company, in the wreath. The symbolism of the circle is significant. We bring people into our circles. So I've got orange nails too. but we bring clients into our circle. And so that's significant too. So we are, we're bright, we're can do, we roll our sleeves up. And the color actually is called exuberant orange, which I think that pretty much nails who we are.
Thank you, Sue. You mentioned something that I think is really important, which is leveraging the Coldwell Banker brand, right? So the Coldwell Banker brand has been around for over 100 years. It's a stable company, and each one of you, when I spoke with you, mentioned something about that and how you've used that within your business. So, I would be amiss if we didn't talk about how do you co-brand with Coldwell Banker, right? Because a lot of agents say, okay, here's my brand, and then get stuck as to how to bring in that umbrella of Coldwell Banker and that depth of the Coldwell Banker brand. So Tiffany, talk to me a little bit, especially being newer to the business, about how you use that co-brand together.
That's my umbrella, right? My business is Close with Tiff, powered by Coldwell Banker, right? So if I can hedge my business against 100 years of reputation. I was in Rome over the last winter, and I walked into an agency, like a corporate office. They typed in my name and they put me in the office and said, here, do what you need to do. You can't do that with the small brokerages. You can't do that. It's also a recruiting tool for me from a partner perspective of other agents that I'll meet. And they're like, how were you successful in 3 years? How do you know how to do? And I'm like, Coldwell Banker taught me. Those were the training resources. So I use it as a network. It's an add value to my business, actually.
Awesome. Anyone else want to jump in on that one?
I would like to actually. So as I mentioned before, I do sell homes internationally, and I am a Coldwell Banker implant, meaning that I didn't really start in my career with Coldwell Banker. And I had such a need to have a brand that it was recognized worldwide. And just like Tiffany, I love to travel. I've been all over the world, and I've been literally from Dubai to New Zealand to Australia to China, and I have been to a Coldwell Banker office, and it's like a big family, and the support and the referral network alone is amazing. I can literally say I have agents anywhere around the world.
That's amazing. Awesome.
Aimee, if I can just jump into this
Yes,
one.
please.
Also, I spent 15 years with an independent. And for 15 years, I believe that your company that you were, that was your umbrella, didn't matter. That it provided zero value to you whatsoever. And that was my belief for 15 years. And when 8 years ago, I moved to Coldwell Banker, I didn't move because of the brand. Although I respected the brand and I knew the brand as being very powerful, but I did not realize what a brand meant, what your brokerage meant for your business, until all of a sudden I started realizing it does matter. People do notice, people do ask the questions, especially, people who are relocating. And so Ann Arbor, Michigan, home to the University of Michigan, we have a lot of people relocating, and people respect the Coldwell Banker name because they've had a good experience with somebody maybe in California or somewhere in another country. And so I would have never thought in the first 15 years of my career that it mattered, but it does, because it gives you that extra respect that you may not get being with an independent brand of some sort. So I think your brand really matters, and you have to lean on that. And I sort of look back and say, I wish early on in my career, I had a brand that I could lean on, that could support me more than the brand I was with. But I think it really matters. The other part is the Coldwell Banker logo, the Coldwell Banker name. Coldwell Banker spends millions of dollars per year marketing budgets that we will never have as agents. So lean on that. Don't, I actually see other Coldwell Banker agents not advertise there with Coldwell Banker, or Coldwell Banker is very small. I think that's a mistake. I think it's a powerful brand, a well-marketed brand that we as agents of Coldwell Banker need to use.
I agree with you. It's instant credibility, Alex.
Yes.
Instant.
And by the way, nobody's paying me for this. So I'm not getting paid by Coldwell Banker. I truly believe in this.
you guys are speaking my language today, so I love it even more. And obviously CB is, it has a place in my heart. And I just think that having that international brand behind you is really so important. So let's talk about the importance of, of attracting business, and how do you feel that your brand, your essence, helps to attract new business? And Claudia, I'd love for you to start with this one if you can.
Yes, absolutely. So our brand transitioning now, it's still recent. The Palm Leaf Realty Group, it's still very, very recent. But basically, it means scaling the services I was already offering. It means now that I have more agents that can help me bring other people home, either welcoming them to Houston or help people find second homes in different countries. But it's having that consistency throughout the years of being reliable, always being the educator, of being there for people well after a transaction, because our build is built on referrals. I am so happy to say that I get to help now the sons of my very first clients. I mean, that is such an honor, because you know what it is, that first transaction in the business, right? And now you get to do it for their kids, and that just speaks volumes to me. Also, indeed, Alex, I'm with you. In our days, to go to a listing presentation and say, you can just Google me, that says something. My online resume, I call it my little house on the internet, and I welcome people in. When you look at my social media, you are looking at my resume. You're not looking at just, look what I've done today. It's, look what I've done for you today. I attended this meeting at this committee. I took this certification. I met with Alex and Sue and Tiffany and Aimee, because I want to be the best agent I can be for you. So I think that's what they get right off the bat, that brand being present, is that I am here to educate them and welcome them whatever journey they need to go, and educate them.
Wonderful. Sue, any thoughts on how your brand helps you attract new business?
Well, number one, the orange is really, it's a real pop out color. That's kind of a fun, people remember that, they note that, and it does go okay with the blue. I didn't want to just blend into the blue. I wanted to pop out. But when someone works with you and you take good care of them, this was kind of an aha moment for me. It was a client that worked with me, and she referred a friend to me. And I said, thank you so much for referring your friend to me. I said, it helps me grow my business. And she said, Sue, I didn't refer them to help you grow your business. I referred them because you took good care of me, and I know you're going to do the same for them. And I was just like, oh, okay. Which
Awesome.
should be obvious, but that was kind of an aha moment for me.
That's great. Alex or Tiffany, either of you have any last thoughts about how your brand has helped you attract new business?
I can relate to what Sue said. I get calls often from people that I've closed my first year. For example, my very first transaction, they called the other day. We bought a $500,000 property, and I told them then, I said, this is not going to be your first one. I'm going to teach you how to invest. And they called back and said, Tiff, it's time. Now I've been emailing and calling, following up incrementally. And then I got another call a couple of days ago where they had an agent, wasn't successful, couldn't get placed. The second contract I wrote, they closed, and that led to 3 or 4 more referrals. So it's just about, similar to what Alex says, the results. The referrals will come. You do a good job.
That's wonderful. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, and I'll just add, at the end of the day, it's not our fancy logos that are our brand, it's us. We are the brand. So the fancy logos help. They help define, maybe they'll offer a message like Tiffany's logo defines a message. But at the end of the day, the faces that you see here on the Zoom screen that's our brand. That's what we bring to the table. It's the hard work that we put in to get the results that we've all achieved in our business. So you're looking at the brands right now.
And that's a great segue to talking about consistency, right? So you all are clearly consistent in what you're doing on an everyday basis in terms of the service level you're providing, the marketing that you're doing. So can we talk a little bit about consistency? Because the rule of branding is that a consumer needs to see something a minimum of 7 times before they retain that. So Alex, talk to me a little bit about consistency, and one of the pieces that you do that really just like blew my mind when you told me about it, because I absolutely loved it. And I would probably bet that nobody else listening does exactly what you do. So tell me about that postcard.
Yeah. So I have for years struggled, just like anybody else, to be consistent, because our life is like this, up and down, up and down, up and down. We're crazy busy, closing so many deals, not prospecting, crash. And we're back at it, trying to figure out, and then we crash. It was one of these. And so I would find that, direct mail has been my way of getting listings, especially, and building my reputation, my brand. So I found that it was incredibly stressful for me because I didn't have the time to do it, but B, I kept thinking that I needed to do a different direct mail piece every single month, that I had to change it somehow. And I just went with that. And so quite honestly, I sucked at it. Like I was bad at marketing because I was so inconsistent. And I actually, because I send out so many postcards that I do, I get mail in my box. And it's amazing how many realtors will mail me one thing or two things and never send me anything else, or there'll be a piece one year and not another piece on next year. And so what I found is that consistency is so important. And the way that I've been able to accomplish that is I mail out the same postcard to every single person in my mail route. So I use everyday direct mail through the US Postal Service, which is a much reduced rate than first class mail. And so I mail the same exact postcard every single month. So 12 months out of the year to the same households. And I've been doing that for years and years and years. And when I say the same exact postcard, every month someone opens up their mailbox and the postcard looks exactly the same, no different. It has looked the same for years. We change a couple of things on it, like we moved office spaces. So we changed the address, the new logo for CB was put on it, but otherwise there's very little that changes on the postcard. And that consistency has paid off. Not only am I, seen at the coffee shop and all of a sudden they know who I am, but it's also when they see me out and about, also when they are ready to sell their house, I'm the first person that comes to mind. So 20,000 postcards are mailed out every single month. And the other important part is I get all of that set up I worked on it towards the end of last year so that all of this year is covered. So my printer does all the work. I don't have to tell them you need to send it out on the first of the month. They know that they have to send it out on the first of the month. So it's great. And the other part is if you pre-print all those, because all the pieces are the same, the more you print, the more money you save. So ultimately it becomes a really cost-effective way to market yourself by printing all those postcards at once and then using every door direct mail. So I highly recommend it, and it's worked out really well for me for almost a decade now.
That's awesome. And I think, the key there is, you might be just starting out in the business, or maybe you don't have the budget for 20,000 postcards a month, right? But the trick is it's consistent. He's consistently doing something every single month, and newsflash, he doesn't even change the content, right? It's the same content year after year, and people are knocking down his door. So I love that, Alex. Thank you for sharing.
I will add, I did the time change postcard. I did the recipe postcard. I did all that, and it was really painful. And changing to just one postcard, having it one and done and having it look good was the most important part. But Aimee, you brought up a great point. I didn't start with 20,000 postcards. My first mail route was under 1,000. And I grew as my business grew, I grew with it, and I added mail routes to that. So it wasn't that it just happened overnight that all of a sudden I, put down all this money. It started small and grew from there.
Awesome. Thank you. Who else would love to jump in on consistency? What are you guys doing that it's consistent? Sue, Tiffany, either one.
Go ahead, Sue.
Thank you. I think in terms of consistency, sometimes you hear of agents who say, hey, I placed an ad in this local newspaper for a couple times and I never got any calls. It's like, well, you got it. That's money wasted. Or like Alex was saying, if you send something to a person once or twice and then you don't send any further to them, that's just wasted money. So the consistency in terms of longevity, of just keep pounding it. And I believe that there's a kind of a trifecta element of if they get a mailing from you and then they see your sign at an open house and then they see you somewhere else, that they think, oh my gosh, she's everywhere. They're everywhere. Oh, so I think that that has a great effect.
Wonderful. Claudia, can you tell us a little bit about, when you're staying consistent, you want to keep your brand consistent, but sometimes you need to change it up a little bit, right? And you kind of just went through that, a little bit of an evolution of your brand. So, let's say you've been, Claudia de Silva for a long time, and now you're starting Palm Leaf Realty. Talk to me a little bit about how that evolved and how agents can take what they're doing now, and let's say maybe they're not particularly attached to that. How can they evolve that in a way that lasts?
Absolutely. Well, there is a lot that goes into this answer. I'll make it short as much as I can. So first of all, you got to really know, who you are and what you stand for. We talked about this. Sue, Alex, and Tiffany talked about this, who you are. For me, my branding was, other people branding me. It was a way of identifying me in the crowd, literally going to conferences and having people, can I have a picture with you? You're the red hat realtor. That meant a lot. But I got to a point in my career where I want to scale. So as I mentioned, I am Portuguese. I started to purchase investments in Florida, where I have family. I'm also in Houston and I have Costa Rica. I wanted to have something to add, not to change brokerage. I love Coldwell Banker. All the tools, resources that it offers in the network is amazing. So I didn't want to invent that wheel. I wanted to become a team, a successful one at that, under this amazing brand, like Tiffany said, powered by Coldwell Banker Realty. I wanted to have a name in a team that was not just about me, and I do respect that people do that. I think it's amazing. There's so many groups with their own name, but I wanted something more. I wanted to have an umbrella of my own that was very creative, where we can have the Palm Leaf Group Houston, Palm Leaf Group Florida, Palm Leaf Group Portugal. My investment properties, Casa Palma, they come from that. So I wanted to have my t-shirts. I want to have my own earrings. I want to have gifts that are personalized without having to put my branding on it. But if it has the Monstera Deliciosa, that is actually the symbol of my logo, mean a lot as it does to me. It was also a personal journey. I had to look inside and look at what kind of person am I? What core values do I have that I want to transmit? And I did soul searching for a while, and I researched. I didn't want to just have a palm tree. Although palm trees, for those that you don't know, they're very resilient trees. They adapt to different soils. Their roots go right down into the soil so they can explore being in different environments. I have survived different environments. Resilient, they can bend, but they don't break. Look at storms. And so the name came to me right after the last hurricane in Florida. In all the places that I work, people know them for the sunshine. People call me Miss Sunshine. The sunshine, the vibrance, the vacation feeling. Why not transmit to someone that buying a house with us is, is not easy breezy, but can have a really easy feel because we work hard for it. So, having the meaning of Monstera, respect, honor, longevity, that abundance mentality was at core of it. And so now I have a team name where I can help other agents become the best buyer's agents and the best listing agents on their own and maybe build their own little team that is not just about the Silva or the Claudia. It's about the Palm Leaf Realty powered by Coldwell Banker.
I love that. Anyone else want to chime in on of evolution and evolving your brand? Sue, you did a little bit too, didn't you? To Good Company, from branding just yourself going over to Good Company.
You know, I mean, initially I was, you know, Sue Johnson and then the Sue Johnson team. But I wanted a name that was larger than myself. And so that's really what prompted us to jump to, you know, really looking at rebranding.
Great, thank you. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, we've talked about consistency, making sure that you have a strong brand that feels, you know, organic to who you are, right? It's really important. Not only is it your face, it's your service level, and it's also about being authentic to you. So however you get there, right? Whether you're using, as Tiffany said, design concierge, or a daughter that works with a friend that's in an ad agency, that's kind of step one. But then step two is making sure that you really are out there in the right spots. So, you know, maybe Tiffany, you can start for me. Talk to me a little bit about how you keep your brand consistent throughout platforms. So within, you know, any Coldwell Banker tools like Listing Concierge, or online resources within Google or social media. Can you kind of hit that off for us?
Yeah, sure. So when I think about branding, I'll be honest, my assistant, Toriana, is amazing. She is the opposite of me when it comes to the computer, the tech, making it look pretty. That's Toriana. And I met with our marketing person, Lindsay Kramer, is phenomenal in Illinois. And I had her do an audit of where are the opportunities. Yes, I have a Google platform. Yes, I have LinkedIn and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. But what does that look like across all of the platforms? So when I coupled the design concierge with the listing presentation, the listing concierge, you mirror those. And then they gave me this brand packet of like, here are the colors and here's the bluebird. And here, I design that. And I just make it very consistent, but still in my same voice throughout so I'll record a short video and I'll tell you about a new house or a current topic, but basically everything needs to look the same so that when you see that little blue bird, that's Tiff. That's Tiff.
And you carry that out in your wardrobe too, correct?
It's funny you say that. All of my friends laugh at me. They know I'm going to show up to an event. I'm going to have on my navy blue, white, or black. Those are my colors. We were at Chicago Agent magazine. I was just did the photo shoot, and she said, "What are you wearing? Navy blue or black?" And I'm like, "Well, navy blue." So it's a uniform for me because it's important to me that everything kind of flows together.
Wonderful, thank you. Who else would like to jump in on how do you keep your brand consistent across websites, social, online, etc.? Oh, come on, Alex, I'm going to call on you. I know that you are self-proclaimed not techie either, but you have a great team behind you that helps you. So talk to me a little bit about online.
Yeah, so we're on everything. We have to be on everything. That's just the reality is you never know who's going to go looking for you. And sometimes I'm amazed how people will reach out to me. Like, how did you end up on this website that nobody ever visits? And you contacted me through that website. Like, how did you get there? So you have to be everywhere, and you have to be consistent in regards to having all your information readily available on at all those places. I sometimes wonder as I'm trying to refer business out and I'm trying to find somebody's phone number, are they actually secret agents or are they real estate agents? Because sometimes it's like there's no email to be found, there's no phone number to be found. There's really no way to contact somebody. And guess what? I move on to the next agent in that market area. So I think it's really important to not just have yourself out there on every single platform, and have your brand or your messaging exactly the same across all those. But I think it's also really important that you have your contact information, so that if somebody does want to reach out to you, they can reach out to you directly. One of the places that I think for me is really frustrating, because I use LinkedIn. I would say that's probably one of the places that I'm most involved in is LinkedIn. You look at, and I look at somebody and I just want to contact them. I don't necessarily want to contact them through LinkedIn. I want to send them an email, or I want to text them or call them. And it's amazing how many realtors don't have their phone number and their email address prominently up on LinkedIn. When, by the way, we're probably, if you search any of us here, we'll probably be on the first page of the result, or LinkedIn will be on the first page of the results there. So I think that's the important part, is including Instagram. How many agents don't have their phone number or their email address in their bio on Instagram? Those 4 short lines. So it's consistency, but you also want to make sure that you're easy to get a hold of. And, sort of going with my brand of reliable, responsive results, the motto for a brand, the responsive part is huge. But if somebody can't find you, you've just lost out.
Yeah, I think that's so important, right? And I'm hoping everyone's taking a note right now after this call to go into their social media and make sure their phone number, their email, and a short bio are in there, because that is 101 for sure. But a couple of you, including Claudia, so I'm going to pick on you, said something that I think is really powerful, which is, when people say, how do you find me? I say, Google me, right? And it takes a lot to make sure that your presence is there, to be able to even say to somebody, just Google me, right? I mean, you got to have some swagger to be able to say that line. So talk to the audience a little bit about how you got to that point where you could say, just Google me.
Absolutely. I wanted to share just a few little nuggets, because, when I joined and I learned so much from other people that would share some things in all of these wonderful series you guys create, I want to share something. So Alex, you're so right. There's so many people that don't have their numbers there. A lot of them are afraid they're going to get spam calls, etc. My biggest advice, and I'm doing that for my brand new agencies, get a CRM that you can get a number and make sure that you're using that number and not your personal number for your business. And you have that app, so when the calls come, they are business related. You can have a wonderful voice. I know it sounds silly, but I cannot tell you how many people actually leave me voicemail messages saying they love my voicemail and they really want to talk to me. And so have a very nice, catchy voice message, and then have the follow-up, that standard text message that immediately hits their, hey, I missed your call, I'm going to be calling you. So you're not that agent that everyone says, no one picks up the phone. Well, listen, if we are busy, if we are requested, we may not pick up the phone. And if you are in Texas like me and you're in the country, somewhere in a farm with your, farm boots, it's hard to pick up the phone. But I really do want to work with you. So put that on your voicemail. As far as sorry, Aimee, I just really wanted to share that with people.
I'm glad you did. But yeah, so online, how do you build up that online presence?
Yes, so let's talk about Google. So I can talk about each platform, and that would be a whole nother series. So let's just focus on Google. Make sure you're uploading your pictures, the same one you do on Instagram. And let's talk about pictures. It's also a very good thing. So I really want to share this. When people meet me, they say, wow, you look just like your picture. And I'm like, am I not supposed to? So basically, I like to tell people, yes, since 2016, I've been aging in front of you and I'm proud of it. I get to be alive another day. I'm not ashamed that I have a wrinkle or two. I just have good lighting. Anyways, so, putting those pictures on Google, making sure you're leaving reviews, making sure you're geotagging. If you don't know that, give it a quick Google. It's really easy. So it takes time to build that. Give yourself some time, start work on that ecosystem, and you're going to start getting bumped up. If you go to Google right now and put Claudia Silva Realtor, you'll find me, or do Palm Leaf Realty Group, and you'll find it, everything, all of the reviews. Asking for those reviews on Google is very, very, very important. We do have wonderful platforms, including my local MLS. You guys, I'm going to tell you something that might be a little bit controversial. I have an amazing MLS MLS, HARMLS, the Houston Association of Realtors, is one of the best MLSs in the world. I can tell you that because I've been around the block a few times. I have to give them a shout out, but I do not use their star rating, whatever they have, because Google brings me business. Google just brought me an almost $7 million buyer, and equally now listing that same property. So it does work, but you got to build that presence, pictures as much as you can, let them know your business, have your information, as Alex mentioned, your phone number, your email, your website, so that all is very, very important. And it goes the same for every single platform you use. I don't use every single platform. I use the ones that bring me joy and bring me business. And if I focus in all of them, I'm spread thin. I focus on the ones, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, if you want to know, they are my jam, and then Google My Business.
Thanks, Claudia. And that's a really good point, is you don't have to be on every platform, right? Now with threads coming out, and there's TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, that could be a full-time job in and of itself. So it's really important to stick to what feels comfortable to you as a human and what is attainable, right? And sticking with it. And that is really the most important thing. So thank you, Claudia, for that. There's a message in the chat that I think is really applicable to what we're talking about, staying consistent on social media, online, from Karen, about how do you keep up being consistent on social platforms without an assistant? And Tiff, you want to start with that?
Yeah, I would say similar to what Claudia said, start with one that you're really good at, and then there are things like keeping current matters or Sprout, stuff that you can auto program. Me and my assistant sit down once a month and talk about what's going to happen for the rest of the month. She's not doing it every day. It's automated. So you can use their resources that you can kind of Google and find stuff that's available. Also, the stuff that's in the Coldwell Banker brand serve and the different tools that are available will help you kind of map out what to come in the month so that you can automate that stuff. It's all scheduled. But the Google reviews, that should be part of your transaction. To your point, my baby, I was leaving and I was explaining that mom is traveling ahead of you, and she says, Mama, I was just telling, the people at daycare, or what she said, at summer school, is my last day because I'm going to travel with my mom. And I said, well, what does that mean? She's like, they were telling me how their mom got a promotion, so they're moving to Wisconsin, but I told them to Google you, and they all said, and they saw me in a video. So like those little things, here my baby, she's promoted me at 10 years old, and she saw herself, and it was really about her, but it also was about me. Care of Google.
That's all right. You get out there any which way you can, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. And I would also just give a plug to the wonderful field marketing team that we have across the country, can sit down with you all and show you some of those resources on where to find content that you can easily plug into a calendar and what programs to use to be able to automate that. Obviously, it's always good to be organic on social as well, but plugging it with already made content just makes it that much easier. So thanks, Tiffany, for bringing that up. So believe it or not, we don't have that much time left. And we've all given some really amazing nuggets about what should you do? How should you brand? But I think what's also really important too, that I'd love to hear from you guys, is what shouldn't you do? You've all been established now, some of you longer than others, but what are some nuggets that you would give to the audience on things that you've learned, challenges that you've overcome with your brand or branding, that you would say, hey, maybe don't do that right away?
I got a big one.
Yes.
I will admit that I wasted nearly $15,000 on a lead source because it said it was exclusive and it's gonna work. It literally did nothing. And I just say I'm pro for partnering and doing leads with certain people and certain organizations, but you need to do your due diligence. If the return on investment, as Alex said, the same amount of money, that $15,000, I could have mailed thousands of postcards. I could have hired someone to make the phone calls to do. Be smart with your budget, right? And plan and be proactive and consistent. Don't waste money on things that are trending. Do what works.
Can I follow up on that? So indeed, I never paid for leads, even not having a single person on my sphere. When I was asked to reach out to my sphere, they were all over the world. So here I was sending emails to Germany and Holland. But if you think about it from a very simple perspective, just open your social media channels right now. Just open it. Even if you just have 200 people following, that's 200 people that you can be following up with. You already have 200 leads right there. So just check your social media accounts right now. Just go in and find ways to reach out to them and prospect to them, give value to them, and it's going to start rolling. If it worked for me, it will work for you. I never paid for a lead. I am okay partnering with certain companies, but I've never had to pay for leads to get someone in my books.
Sue, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I was going to say that earlier. I've never paid for a lead. Just don't do it. Your quickest way to a revenue stream is an open house. It's free. You sit there, you open up shop and let people come in, and it's free. It's a free way of picking up clients, and probably the fastest way to revenue. As far as what to not do, I would say, create a plan, stick with the plan. Don't keep trying to reinvent. You can spend so much time tweaking and changing and fixing. Just, choose your brand and move forward. And don't forget, you are here to sell. I mean, we are marketing machines. We all are. I know we are, and especially on this panel, but we are here to sell. We are here to serve our clients well. And that's why we're here. That's why we do all of this. All of this is, kind of fun, creative stuff, but we're here to sell.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I will just echo what Sue said in regards to open houses. I built my business on open houses. When I initially started, I was 18 years old. I had no sphere. Well, I did, but they were all 18. Their parents did not want to use me as their realtor because I was the 18-year-old who had no experience. My parents' friends and even my family did not want to use me as a realtor because I was that 18-year-old. But I did open houses, and I sat at those open houses for hours upon hours every weekend, sometimes up to 3 open houses per weekend. But there's the important part. It's not about just sitting at the open house. It's being ready and able to act when the opportunity presents itself. But the biggest part is it's that follow-up. There are so many people that don't follow up, and that open house visitor is a lead. And so you need to treat it like a lead. And so I think it's really important to follow up. I do want to talk a little bit more about social media, some of the things that you don't do, because we see this today, and I see it every time I open up Facebook, and I don't spend a whole lot of time on Facebook because I actually find it to be somewhat toxic for me personally. But I see all of these agents throughout the country posting, I'm at the closing, I'm showing a house, woohoo, just got a deal under contract. They're posting all this stuff to make them look busy online. Well, guess what that sends to your consumers? That you're too busy for them. And I did this for a while, and eventually somebody actually said to me, because I reached out to them and said, what happened? Why didn't we work together? And they actually said, well, it looked like you had a lot going on, so we didn't think you had time for us. When in reality, I had plenty of time. I was just posting just to post. I was posting every house I was previewing. I was posting from an open house. I was doing all that. So I think it's really important that you don't just, talk real estate and become a real estate salesperson, and that's all you sell in social media. But I think, for those of you who are sitting there watching this, and you're probably after this going to log on to Facebook or wherever your social media platform is, and you're probably going to scroll for a while, and listings are down all across the country. We have less properties to sell, and you may be slower than you were last year, and you may be trying to figure out what to do. For your mental health, it's not helpful to read posts of real estate agents who are posting how busy they are, how busy your colleagues are, how busy realtors across the country are. So it's like one of those things, like I always say, disconnect from social media, and all of a sudden an abundance of business comes your way. So you want to be on those social media platforms, but you don't need to spend hours on it. You can post, but you don't need to spend, once again, hours to post things. I think it's just really important that you're there, but for your own mental health, and I find it for me, you know, anytime I'm slightly slow and more really slow, and I see one of my colleagues posting how great their business is, gets me in a funk. You know, we're all still human beings. It gets me into a funk of like, well, what am I doing wrong? And even myself, you know, my team and I sell over 300 homes a year. Like, we produce a lot, but I still, you know, there are times that I'm slow. And so I've avoided social media as much as I can, because I don't think it's healthy 100% of the time.
Great, thank you.
Hey,
Go ahead,
hey,
Tiff.
Alex, I want to piggyback on something you said about follow-up. One of the tools that I tend to use, I have an Android phone. I have an iPhone and Android, but I have some preset text messages, which is super helpful to follow up. Like, hey, it was great meeting you, or I'll be in touch, and it has your links of information and email templates that are pre-populated. And your signature line, there's a thing that you can make an email template. Have those set so that that's 30 seconds, done. Great talking to you. I'd love to connect here. Here's where you can give me a Google review here. Like, those different efficiencies will help you get those things done.
Awesome. So everyone warned me this would go so fast, and I didn't believe them at all, but I can't believe it's 10:11 already. So we're almost wrapped up. There are a couple of things that I really want to make sure the audience has a chance to hear from you on. So I'm going to go round robin. I'm going to ask you guys to just quickly get through these next two things, which is, how do you start to budget your marketing dollars? I think that's really important when talking about branding and marketing. How do you budget that? And then the last would be, what's the best piece of advice you would give somebody on this call? So Sue, I'm going to start with you. Take us, start our round robin for us.
Okay. In terms of budgeting for marketing, I'm sorry, but I go by my gut. It is a gut feel. I watch my numbers. I know my numbers really well. I know how I want to spend my dollars, where I want to spend my dollars. It's always a very concentrated effort in terms of, I know geographically where I want to be. So yeah, I have no true formula for that. But it works for me.
Piece of advice?
I trust my gut, and best advice: enjoy the journey of being a real estate agent. You are a CEO of your own company. You get to decide how high you fly. You get to decide how hard you work. Enjoy the downtimes. It's hard to do that when you're building a business. So, you know, it's an amazing profession. It's the best profession, and enjoy the journey.
Thank you. Alex?
So with regards to budgets, and I'll keep it short because this is a really long answer, but I start from the bottom and I work my way up. And what that means is I start with, how much money do I want to make that year? So when I do my business planning, I think it's really important that everybody does their business planning. What's the bottom line figure? What do you want to walk away with? And then from there, you go up and then eventually figure out, what do you want to spend money on? How do you want to spend your money on various things? And then eventually it leads you to, how many houses do I have to sell? What's the volume that I need to produce? So start from the bottom and work your way up. With regards to the best piece of advice that I can offer, we have one luxury that we forget about, and that is the luxury of no, saying the word no. When something doesn't feel right, when something's a little odd, whether it's about your safety, whether it's about a client, whether it's about something you're being sold over the phone, the luxury is to say no. And so feel your gut, just like Sue said, a lot of it is about your gut, but feel free to say no. There'll be another deal, and that deal that you typically, when someone says they would have wished they would have said no, they should have said no, because they would have probably been a whole lot busier and in better health had they said no initially, and probably gotten more leads and more business closed. So don't forget the word no.
Claudia?
So I set up an amount for me for every transaction. So the same I set up for Uncle Sam, and then what you pay yourself. So this is the part we don't really talk about. It's finances in real estate. We don't often share that it takes money to make money. So what I do, I didn't have a bunch of money when I started, is 40% Uncle Sam. There is no argument. Have a bank account, every paycheck, bye-bye. I forget about it. It is what it is. It doesn't matter what the amount of the paycheck is, if it's a lease, if it's a sale, if it's whatever it is. And then 30% is marketing. What I have fun every day is this, every year is to decide, okay, this year, where are we going to spend this marketing budget? What has worked, what not worked? But 30%, it's a number, it's there, and it has to go towards marketing, and it's what I do. It's for me. As far as the thing, I would say that there is a great honor when you get a referral from a client, but there is also a great honor when you get a referral from other agents around the world, around the country. So do not be a secret agent, not just for your clients, but to other agents. I cannot express. If you can market yourself to other agents. So when other agents are super busy online and I'm looking at that, and I market myself to them. Oh my God, you have so much business. Do you have anyone moving to Houston or, Southwest Florida, Portugal, or Costa Rica? Like, I actually am happy for them. I celebrate their journey, and I ask them, can we partner? So I have a realtor referral partner program. Actually, it's free, but it's basically, us partnering. I get to do videos with them. I just went live with Jade Mills, Deborah Johnston, and to do a partner on a listing I had. So I reach out to other agents, and it's, don't be a secret agent also to other agents. Make sure you're marketing yourself to other agents.
Thanks, Claudia. And Tiffany, I'm sorry we're over time, but real quick, give us your best advice.
As a new agent, what helped me budget is I read The Millionaire Agent like 7 times. That millionaire agent has all the sauce you need. Be yourself and do well. You'll be fine.
Thank you all so much for your time today. This session has been recorded. It will go out to everybody through your channels of communication. I can't thank you all enough for joining us today about branding. I'm Aimee Lerner with Coldwell Banker. Thank you so much, and have an awesome day, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.